الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Inshallah, we continue with the subject of al-fiqh and in fiqh al-mu'amalat, but we'll do something different here today. We finished the first part or the chapters that talk about al-bay' or the different rulings, or very summarized way. There are many more things, of course, to be mentioned. And we're supposed to start the chapter of al-riba, usury. But before we start, I wanted to mention something that is not in the book. So we'll do something differently in the mu'amalat, especially in the transactions, since we're there, just to take some of the things that people are in need of, and so that we study it, inshallah ta'ala. And this is, you have to then write notes, inshallah. So it's not in the book. So, and those also, for those who are online, inshallah, you have to write notes in this. I'll try to be slow, inshallah, so that you can get it. And before also we start with questions, because when it comes to matters of contracts and things like this, there are so many questions that come up. So please, no questions while the dars is going, unless there is something that you didn't get of what I'm saying, so that you make sure that you don't miss it. That's different. What did I say? What does that point mean before we go to the next point? That's fine. But the questions and applications and all of these things, please will avoid it, inshallah ta'ala, till the end, inshallah. So, first, 6 types of buyu' or buying and selling that are forbidden, or 6 types, not necessarily specific matters that the ulama mentions in the books of fiqh, that we can add to what we had mentioned before. We talked about the al-buyu' al-manhiy anha, what's forbidden in matters of buying and selling. We talked about 7 points, but we'll talk about 6 very quick, inshallah, and then 8 points. So we have 6 points and 8 points. The 8 points afterwards, it's a very detailed subject in the books of fiqh, but we'll just touch on it, inshallah, which is called al-khiyar. Al-khiyar is basically the choice to whether to break a contract or not. So in very brief way, inshallah ta'ala, hopefully we can do that, inshallah, in this session, inshallah. So some of the things that are forbidden, as mentioned in the books of fiqh, the famous example, بيع العنب لمن يتخذه خمرا. Remember this, it's an example, but it's always mentioned because many other like of it can have the same ruling, which is selling grapes for those who would use it for khamr. Selling grapes for those who would use it for intoxications, to make wine from it. So to remember that mas'ala like this, what's the ruling of selling grapes to someone that you know, of course, for sure, that he will take it, to use it, to squeeze it, to make from it wine? What's the hukm here? Haram. It's not permissible. It's forbidden. Why this is mentioned as a unique example of what a huge principle, big principle in the transactions and in the deen of Islam, which is وَتَعَاوَنُوا عَلَى الْبِرِّ وَالتَّقْوَى وَلَا تَعَاوَنُوا عَلى الْإِثْمِ وَالْعُدْوَانِ. Help one another in matters of righteousness and the fear of Allah, and do not help one another on matters of sins and the transgressions. So many types of transactions, you can see that it's haram because of this. And this is an ayah in Surah Al-Ma'idah, in the beginning of Surah Al-Ma'idah. Remember the part of the ayah? Because anything that helps a person, of course with dawabit, with very specific criteria, it's not just meant for it to be for a person to guess things, but with certainty. If you help someone to do something evil, you're responsible, even though that thing in principle is halal. Selling grapes is halal, and you don't have to question anyone that comes to you that wants to purchase grapes. What are you going to do with the grapes? You just sell grapes. But if you know that the company that makes alcohol, for example, they're coming, and you're a farmer, and they want to purchase the entire harvest of the grapes, right? What are they going to do with it? They're going to sell it on a fruit stand outside? No, they're going to use it for wine. So whether they say it clearly, or if they don't say it but it's very obvious, right? Someone that is going to purchase it to use it for haram. So this is haram. Sometimes they say بيع عصير ونحو مما تاخذه. So the same subject. So something can be halal. What's the root of this? Something that is halal, if a person sell it, but you know for sure that someone is going to use it for something haram, which is the next or the second type here is, which into the same category, بيع سلاح في فتنة, to sell weapon at times of fitna. Selling weapons, originally it's halal if it's legal, right? So if the law of the land that you're in, you're not going to get in trouble if you sell a weapon with the legality of it, that's fine. But if you know that if someone walks into the store and you have a store that sells guns, for example, or even sell knives, and someone walks into the store very angry and all kinds of means that is on his face that he's going to take it to do something with it, is it permissible to sell him the weapon? And again, things can, what if he's angry for something that is not related to this? And it's not a specific example that I'm saying. It's basically you get to know with whatever means that person is going to use something originally is permissible or it's legal for something that is illegal. Then it's not permissible for you to sell that thing. And this is how they put it. The مسألة بيع سلاح في فتنة, times of fitna. Fitna meaning people are killing each other in situations where people are, killing is indiscriminately happening in a place or whatever. Then it's not permissible for a person to sell a silah or weapon because it's most likely that it's going to be used for something that is haram, right? And it's basically like the same or the previous one. The same thing if people are, as it's mentioned in the books of fiqh, maybe in the past or even if you have, for example, mobs, right, or things of that nature. People are just professional, what do you call it? They kill others, they rob with the weapons and so on. Even if they come calmly and everything, but you know that they are member of something and they use these things in an illegal way. Is it permissible to sell them this? Of course not. Of course, when it comes to the legality, this can be very difficult to do it in the right way. We're not talking about the practicality here in the environment that we live in. We're talking about the principle behind it, which is selling something that might be halal in principle, but it's going to be used knowingly with certainty for something wrong. But if a person sells, again, something with all of the means, it sounds like everything is fine. But then later on, a person used it for something wrong. You're not responsible. So it's all with the circumstances that is surrounding it. And so this is 3 examples to the same subject. A fourth one that is also mentioned in the books of fiqh, to the extent of which something very specific, more details here. When people, and that's hundreds of years is mentioned, when people, and it's still till now, when people sit and drink alcohol, for example, they would have sometimes things with it. Like, for example, nuts and things that are snacks, basically. So snacks is halal to sell. But someone, you're supposed to cater to someone that they are sitting to drink, and you're going to cater to them the snacks that they put around the alcohol bottles for them to take a bite and to drink like this. Has the same ruling, right? So, but again, it's not like food, which is completely different than the drinking, right? It's about specifically what the people would eat with their drink. That if they don't eat it with the drink is not really delicacy then. I'm not sure what they call it in English, but it's some specific matters that they eat. In principle, it's halal, but it's only used, or it's known to the people that they use it while they're drinking. And that's also different than having people in a situation where they're doing haram and you would help them. Anything that would help the people to do the haram, then it becomes haram. The same thing, specific. I said 3. The first one is the grapes. The second one is the weapon in fitna. The third one, to sell to mobs or أهل حرب, people are in war or fighting or something like this, to give them to sell to them weapon that they would use it to kill others. All of that is not permissible. And the fourth one is what's, this is very specific one. And I would say it in Arabic, how they say it in the book sometimes, بيع مأكول ومشموم لمن يشرب عليهما المسكر. Selling something that people eat, or they even smell when they're drinking on it, intoxications. Like it's attached to it. It's not something that they're gonna eat a meal and then they're gonna go drink. It's something that is always known that is with the forbidden drinks. Cheese and wine with the specific cheese that comes that would, you know, that it's going to be served with the wine and they would drink and eat. What else? Or for example, if a person knows that that piece of lemon is going to be put on the glass where they're going to sell wine, you can sell lemon as much as you want, no problem. You won't ask people what you're going to use it for. But if you're delivering this, or you're selling this to a bar, and the bar is doing nothing but using this lemon for this, then it's a different situation here. Then it's not permissible. No.
Yeah, sometimes they sell food like extra salty, so the people have to drink. Situations like that, we want to make sure that.
Allah, I mean, whatever the place, if there is a place and the people they drink, whatever helps them to drink, then that's why it's not there's endless things here that can come up. And that judgment has to be there. If a person has clear means to help people to commit a sin, then it's haram to make it easy for them. You have something?
What if you're like selling certain things to a sport? You look like you're not certain, but you've heard.
Wallah, I'm not sure what's the specific mas'ala would be.
Like you're selling to the store, you know the store might be the owner of it. You know, like,
If a person is selling something halal, and regardless whether the person is using the money from what he sells for something haram, that's different. As long as he sells halal and it's not helping to establish something in the transaction that is haram. طيب. I know it's many different things, but inshallah, also for those who are online, sometimes we lose them as a result of going back and forth. But two more things quickly. Even and just these specific examples, qadah, the special types of cups or glasses that is used for people to drink. Right, the same thing, the same subject. Even though glasses, it's okay to sell glasses, but it's known, it's used specifically for something haram, or the things that people might use for gambling. Used to be in the past. Sometimes it's special types of rocks or something like this that they would use for gambling. So basically, these types or these 6 points here goes under that one category of وتعاونوا على البر والتقوى ولا تعاونوا على الإثم والعدوان. Help one another matters of goodness and do not help one another matters of sin and transgression. So this is just like kind of an addition to what we mentioned about what's forbidden from the different types of forbidden types of transactions.